Start again. Welcome to our Breakfast Club call. My name is Pamela Pacheco, and I have the absolute pleasure, honor, and privilege of being your host on this beautiful Thursday and every Thursday. Today is Thursday, August 22nd, 2024, and I am so grateful for each and every single one of you guys that are joining, whether you are joining us live on Facebook or you are joining us on Zoom like we do every Thursday. But grateful to have you guys with us. If it is your first time joining us, welcome. If you are coming once again, welcome home. I remember when I first embarked upon the journey of entrepreneurship 10 plus years ago, I was looking forward to these type of morning mentorship calls. Not only was I looking forward to these type of calls because of the inspiration I was receiving, but I was looking forward to these type of calls because of the inspiration I was receiving. See, garbage in is garbage out. Greatness in is greatness out. And how you start your day sets the tone for your day. So let's get right into it. If you missed our Breakfast Club call last week, it is live on our YouTube page. We were talking about fresh from our Italy escape, and we had tons of ambassadors and a lot of guests, mostly on there, sharing their delightful experiences. So let's get right into it. Today, I want to talk about habits of a heartfelt leader. Type a 1 in the chat if you consider yourself a heartfelt leader. Heartfelt leader. Yes, yes, yes. I see you guys. Again, make sure you're sending it to all panelists and attendees. And when we talk about habits of a heartfelt leader, see, there's a few things, right? Number one is the ability to follow. And we're kind of going to get into that a little bit. But if you're taking notes, because note takers are history makers, make sure you're writing this down. Number two is the choice to submit. And we're going to dive into that a little bit more. And number three, lastly, is the desire to see. So let's talk about the ability to follow. See, it's never the assignment, it's an attitude. And we've heard oftentimes, and I remember I used to cringe when I used to hear teachers and professors and then sergeants and parents, right? And just role models always say, your attitude will determine your altitude. Anybody heard that? Type of A in the chat. Yes, 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 right. Definitely. Your attitude will determine your altitude. And it was all fun and games, right? Because it usually is until you actually have to live that out. And whether you're cultivating a better attitude as a business owner or as a leader, it's crucial for setting the tone for not only your organization, your business, and of course to inspire your team, but you're also setting the tone for your heart space. You're also setting the tone for your life, because if you ever know, like, is it easier to be negative or is it easier to be positive? Pretty sure it's easier to be negative. So if you've ever put yourself at that point and you're like, okay, if it's not the ability to follow because it's not the assignment, it's the attitude, then how do we forge this attitude of a leader, of a heartfelt leader? How do we cultivate this positive mindset, this positive attitude on a constant basis? And the number one thing to develop this positive and resilient mindset and attitude is just practicing gratitude. Because if we start and end our day by reflecting on what it is that we're grateful for, it completely just shifts your focus from problems, circumstances, to opportunities, to the blessings, right? And what it does also, it just helps you maintain a even more positive outlook on life. And if you're like, okay, well, that's cool, Pam, and I'm going to practice gratitude, but how can I want to see my team be positive. I want to see my team have an attitude of gratitude, whether it's an organization, whether it's a business. Well, you got to lead by example. You got to demonstrate the attitude that you want to see in your team. You got to show optimism. You got to show that resilience. You got to show the willingness to tackle challenges head on. And that's going to come is, how are you responding to things? Because we hear often, great mornings, Denise. We hear often, your attitude will determine your altitude, right? Oh, cool. And then we also hear, well, I want my team to model XYZ. So are we leading by example? We always got to ask ourselves as heartfelt leaders, am I always leading by example? Because I want to I need to show what it is that I want to receive. And it goes back to the law of reciprocity, right? Of you sowing and reaping, of giving. because the more you give, the more you receive. And it goes the same into leadership. And some people may disagree, and that's completely okay. However, I've seen this play out over and over and over again. So it's always saying, okay, well, how can I lead by example? And it's in those moments of chaos. It's in those moments of chaos. What are you going to focus on? Right? Are you going to focus what it is that you want to expand? And whether it's in the moment of us making a phone call, right? Or it's a moment of us calling customer service. And this is what the beginning looks like. And it's important to have these candid, hot, honest, open, and transparent conversations, because a lot of people want to be at the beginning of stuff, but they fail to realize that you got to go through the not so pretty aspects of business. And granted, we've hired so many great people and they're getting trained and all these things, and it's amazing. However, let's be honest, there are some moments that you're frustrated, right? Type of one in the chat if that's happened to you at any point. So it's saying, okay, well, how can I lead by example in this situation? Whether it's you are showing a prospect, right? Or you put somebody in the system, and this ever happens to y'all, and they're like, I'm going to do this, and I want this, and I want financial freedom, right? And I'm going to send a recording of this because I just had a conversation with a teammate last night, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to make sure I'm on the call this morning because I'm going to start my day, and they're not on the call. So again, it's how are you leading by example? Because right now we're in a space where they're putting so much emphasis on the front end of our compensation plan that we want to go recruit. And that's awesome. And sometimes you're like, man, people are not signing up with me, or this person is not. But would you sign up with you? It's a question to ask. And that goes again to leading by example. Would you sign up with you? Who you are today, not who you were yesterday, a year ago, no, 5 years ago. No, who you are today. Who you are today, because that matters, right? Leading by example. And when you're talking about leading by example, it's in every aspect. It's in your prospecting. It's in your mindset. It's in your daily activities. It's in the things that you're not doing. It's in the things that you are doing. But it's also saying, hey, how I do anything is how I do everything. Because if I can lead by example in business, I'm going to be able to lead by example in life. And let me tell you something. If you think business is tough, you haven't gone through some stuff in life. Okay? Business is tough, but it's tough out here, right? Life can be lifing sometimes. And when you experience loss, when you experience grief, when you have to navigate through pain that you've never quite navigated through before, yes, you got to trust your spiritual development, but it's that personal development that kicks in. It's these practices that have allowed me to continuously be resilient over the years, that have allowed me to continue to focus on the purpose, to continue to focus on the outcome, to continue to focus on what's coming. And quite frankly, cultivating that attitude of gratitude is also saying, hey, I'm going to invest in personal development. I'm going to continually work on my mindset. And sometimes people think, well, I don't have this to do that. Well, that's the same reason why you need to do this. Because as an adult living in America, the country for the richest opportunities in the world, right? We have so many different ways we can make money here. If you're not able to invest in yourself, which is your highest and best use, which is going to be your biggest return of investment, because you will never leave you, right? You will never give up on you. Sometimes we do, but hey, but I'm just saying, it's investing in yourself. If having the thought to invest in yourself brings any type of hesitation, you need to invest in yourself more than you think. You gotta spend some time reading the books. We gotta attend the seminars, the workshops, the training sessions. If you're not registered for September 7th, I don't know. It's okay, but just get registered, right? This is for the people that want to go into the next level of life. And it's people sometimes are like, oh, well, I've been to training before. Well, do you got to get gas every week on your car? And if you got an electric vehicle, do you got to charge your vehicle? You all know what I'm talking about? Exactly. So if you got to do that for that, why don't you think you got to do it for your brain, for your heart, for your mindset, for your leadership? And here's another way. If you want to have that attitude, right, of greatness, it's also creating a supportive environment. Who are you around? Who are you talking to? Who are you having conversations with? Are you encouraging open communication and collaboration and recognition within the team, within the family? Because the positive environment, it's going to boost the morale. It's going to 1,000% improve performance because people are motivated and everyone likes being happy, likes having a good attitude, because iron sharpens iron and energies are just contagious. So if you want to keep a good attitude, be around people that have a good attitude, right? Surrounding yourself with that positivity is absolutely key. Absolutely key. And another thing is also making sure you're taking care of your well-being. We do not talk enough about prioritizing your mental health, prioritizing your self-care, prioritizing physical care, regular exercise, a healthy diet. And listen, your girl's fasting right now from red meat. We're doing a prayer and fast with church, and I've been up since 6 a.m. for a prayer call, and not eating red meat. It's been tough. I ain't gonna lie. It's like I ain't never want a piece of churrasco more than I do this week, right? But here's what I do know. I'm surrounded with people every morning on this prayer call where we're all fasting together, where we're all talking about the difficulties, the challenges. But I love also hearing what God is doing, right? What the testimonies coming out. So it's what's on the other side of the difficulty, but it's surrounding yourself around the right people is always going to fuel what it is that you have in that you're desiring. It's always going to fuel that energy for you. So making sure you're surrounding yourself around positive and supportive individuals who are going to uplift you, who are going to challenge you to maintain that good attitude, even during the tough times. And making sure one of the greatest ways we could spend talking about attitude the entire hour this morning is making sure you're celebrating the small wins. I had to remind myself of this week. Honestly speaking, when I have anything that I'm doing that I'm working on, I love to do it world class, top tier. If you know, you know. And anytime I have anything that I'm doing and I just want it to be over the top, right? And if it's not like immediate, I start beating myself up. But then I got to check myself. And that's why it's so important, again, surrounding yourself of practicing mindfulness. And I had to do this week, is just celebrating the small wins. It was like, all right, Pam, so let's acknowledge some of the things that you've actually done great. Let's acknowledge some of the wins. Let's acknowledge some of the success that you've had surrounding this. And those things are important because when you acknowledge and you celebrate progress, no matter how small, it creates momentum and it reinforces that positive mindset that we need. So, number 2, and if you guys are getting value from this type of V in the chat, awesome, awesome, awesome. So, number 2, the choice to submit. So, habits of a heartfelt leader, we just talked about number 1, the ability to follow with a great attitude, because it's never the assignment, it's the attitude. Number 2 is the choice to submit. And maybe you're the person on this call that's like, oh, wait a minute, now she's getting into religion. You're going to miss it if that's what you think. And maybe if I am saying that, maybe you need to hear it. But I will tell you one thing. Don't miss the moment or the message because you are on a mission, right? And I say that because, yes, I am talking about from a biblical standpoint. However, when I say submit, the choice to submit, it goes way beyond you submitting to God, right? Because then I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. But submission will take you further in God's kingdom than ambition could ever even dream of. And it's not to impose my favorite belief upon you, but that's what I wholeheartedly believe in, because that's what I've seen. And I'm not talking about, it's easier said than done, right? Because I've had people that have used that term loosely of submission. And I think that you could use that term also when it comes to not only staying submissive to God, but staying submissive to your goals, staying submissive to your commitments, especially during the tough times, because it requires a blend of faith, discipline, and resilience. And if you're thinking of, well, how am I going to be able to stay submissive to God, to my goals, to my commitments, especially during tough times? It's what we're doing right now. These are tools, right, to strengthen your faith, to strengthen your mindset. It's whether you're incorporating daily prayer and meditation, but starting and ending your day with prayer, asking for strength, for guidance, whatever you believe in, right? Meditation, whether it's on meditating on the scripture or meditating on what it is that is in alignment with you, or what it is that you have for your future, that vision, and also trusting in God's plan, reminding yourself that the challenges are part of your growth. Trust that God has a purpose for the trials that we're facing, even when we don't understand them immediately. And it's like, we had a worship night at church yesterday, and they're talking about Thessalonians, somebody correct me. But it's like pray without ceasing, right? And it was like in the next part of that, it's like, and in all things give thanks. And I was like, I don't want to thank God for that. And I was reminded that there's things that we gotta thank him, even when there's things that are difficult, even when it's challenging times, even when it's things that we're like, I could have gone without that, God, but hey, right? You decided me to put this. However, it's absolutely because this is the will of God concerning you. Amen. But when we think about these things, you're like, man, it could always be worse. Yes, Lisa, right? And it's trusting in God's plan, but also knowing that God has a purpose for the trials, even if we don't understand them immediately. And he's going to work it out all out for our good. And another way that we stay submissive to God, to our goals, to our commitments, it's reaffirming our goals, right? It's reconnecting with your why. Right. There's people that are in our Breakfast Club call that are not a part of our Viago community, right? They're just a part of the Pam the Plug community. And I love that. And I always tell people, it doesn't matter if you're in business. It doesn't matter if you're in entrepreneurship. If you're just a person that has a heartbeat, you need community. You need to be around great people. You need to start your day with greatness. You need to set the tone for your life. You need to be around people that are going to challenge you, that are going to help you grow, that are going to stretch you, right? And one of the ways is reminding yourself of when you're reaffirming your goals and staying submissive to your goals and your commitments and God at the same time. It's reconnecting with your why, regularly reminding yourself why you set the goals that you had in the first place. Revisit that vision board, journal, anything, any other tool that helps you stay connected to your purpose. Like, go back to that. Maybe you've got to go break down your goals. See, when things get tough, breaking your goals into smaller, more manageable tasks, like we talk about, the micro goals, is always going to help you maintain momentum without you feeling overwhelmed. But it's also one of the ways that we stay submissive to our goals, to God, to our commitments during tough times, is also staying committed through discipline. And somebody's not going to like what I got to say on that, but it's we fail or succeed to the efficiency of the systems that we have. And you've heard me say this often, right? I know I got to put it on a shirt. When you master the mundane, magic happens. You got to stay committed through discipline. And what do I mean by that? Number one is establishing the routines, consistent routines, such as morning and evening rituals. And the reality is that this can anchor you during difficult times. I'm going to tell y'all, if I don't know what I would have done in the last 3 years of my life dealing with the loss of the greatest loss that I've dealt with yet, of my mom transitioning to heaven, if I would have not been committed through discipline, if I would have not had routines. When I tell you, these routines have literally served as an anchor, because Now I have people that are waiting for me, that are going to hold me accountable. So having a personal trainer that I'm meeting with at 6 a.m. when I do not want to get up at that time because I have not clocked into a job in over a decade, right? But those are things that serve as anchors, because sometimes, guess what? Uh, when we're sad, what do we want to do? When we're depressed, when we're down, guess what we're usually doing? Laying down, right? It's our emotional triad, our body, our physiology, and the very way we're moving our body, what our focus is, what our language is, it determines the very state of our well-being, the very state of our production. So it's like you establishing these routines is going to be an anchor, because it's going to force you out of bed. It's going to force you into action. It's going to force you to remember your strength, because when you persist and you persevere through the gym, when you persist and you persevere through your schedule, because let's be real, just even getting up sometimes, and let me, my retired folks not gonna understand, but my working folks are gonna see what I'm talking about, right? You know, even making it, let's be real, making it past the time that you know you needed to get up, even being able to get up and not having to snooze that alarm is a win. It's a win. It's a win, no matter what. It's a win. So celebrate that win, because when we're talking about those little routines, those routines are really what make you maintain a sense of normalcy. It's what helps you have a sense of control. It's what also reminds you that, hey, no matter if I'm still in the midst of this trial because I can't quite get on the other side of this just yet, I'm going to still win in the midst of my tribulation, because I am going to have small things that I can win at. So we got to set ourselves up for success as well, because in the midst of trials and tribulations, if we do not have those little anchors that allow us to have small wins, that force us into action, that force us into our calling, that remind us of our purpose, that remind us of our goals, that remind us of our vision, then it's very easy to just let the tribulation consume you. And I'm speaking from firsthand experience. So these things become anchors for your life. And, you know, a lot of people are like, why do you still pay a personal trainer? Like, you can go work out without him. Do you know the workouts? Yeah, I be training my friends all the time. It's the accountability though. It's the therapy. It's also knowing that the coach needs coaching. I need somebody to push me too, right? And those are things that are just absolutely imperative when you are saying that, okay, well, I am going to stay committed through my discipline. Accountability, it's sharing your goals and your commitments with, whether it's a trusted friend, a teammate, a mentor, an accountability partner, someone who can encourage you and just hold you accountable. Again, practicing resilience, embracing the process, understanding that the setbacks and challenges are part of the journey. You know, the setback, I always say, is the setup for the comeback. And I've learned that instead of resisting it, I gotta just embrace it. We gotta just embrace them as opportunities for growth and refinement. And it's like, if we don't embrace it now, later on, it's gonna cost us more. And what we do that when this is a form of you practicing resilience, is it also allows you to cultivate patience. Anybody in here consider themselves a super patient person? Besides Lisa, because she's super patient, right? Yeah, I see y'all coming in. I, you know, I don't envy anything else, but I envy that. And I'm working on that so hard, because patience is key to enduring tough times. Reminding yourself that everything happens in God's timing and your efforts will bear the fruit in due time. And another way that you do this in your season of submission to God, to your goals, to your dreams, it's, again, it goes back to leaning on your support system, seeking the community support. And it's not only surrounding yourself around a community of like-minded individuals who can encourage you and empower you and remind you of your commitments, but it's also being open to guidance. It's being open to feedback. Don't hesitate to seek counsel from mentors, from your coaches, from your uplines, from spiritual leaders, from people when you're struggling to stay on track. And I will tell you, we're not meant to do life alone. And yes, commitment always lasts longer in community because God did not create just one of us. He created all of us because we need each other to navigate through life. Stay grateful. Again, counting your blessings, gratitude shifts your focus from what's wrong to what's right. Reflecting and realigning. Regular self-reflection, it can regularly assess our spiritual, our personal, our professional life to just ensure that we're in alignment with our goals, but above everything with God's will for our life, and adjust where necessary, pivot whenever you need to. Making sure that it's, and again, this is not for everybody, right? But I also do understand that when you combine faith with disciplined action and a strong support system, you can absolutely not only stay submissive to God, to goals, to your commitments, but to yourself, to living out your dream life, even when the journey is getting difficult. And remembering always that perseverance in the face of adversity is always going to build the character that we need. It's always going to strengthen our faith. And it's always important to keep a healthy space, or a space for people to know that what we're going through is never for us, but it's for somebody else. It's for somebody else. Cultivating this desire, maintaining the vision during the storms or the hardships. Yes, it can be incredibly challenging, but it's also when those qualities are the most crucial. And is so important for you to know that everything that you have within you is what makes you special, is what makes you capable of going through even the toughest of the storms. So, last point in habits of a heartfelt leader. So we talked about the ability to follow. Again, not the assignment, it's the attitude, the choice to submit. And number 3, the desire to see. The desire to see. Outlook determines outcome. Without vision, the people will perish. Seeing more starts with seeing before. I'll repeat that. Seeing more starts with seeing before. Shout out to Rich Wilkerson Jr. for that quote, right? But how do you have the desire to see? How do you cultivate the desire to see in the midst of your building, whether you're building yourself, whether you're building your business? How do you mix that? How do you do that? Number 1 is reconnecting with your purpose. And it kind of goes hand in hand with what we spoke about earlier about staying submissive, right? But it's reconnecting with your purpose in the sense of, okay, what is my why? Reflecting on my why, reminding myself on why I got started in the first place. Why did you get started in your Viago business? Why did you get started in your career? Why did you get started as an entrepreneur? Why did you get started as a businessman? Why did you get started as a businesswoman? Why did you get started? Reminding yourself of why you started your journey in the first place, it allows us to not only reflect on our why, but it's revisiting our core purpose. And what that does is it just reignites your passion because it helps you push through the difficulties. It helps you push through whatever it is that you're going through. But it's also, you often hear me say, that vision for your life is what's going to pull you when motivation can't push you, because we all need that. Visualizing what that end goal looks like, spending time visualizing the future you're working towards. You guys know we started off the year in our mastermind and mimosa event where we did free goal setting for people, vision boards, all these things, workshop. I have people still today, just yesterday, one of my girls was like, man, I took that mastermind so serious. I've manifested this. I've been able to accomplish this. I do my affirmations daily. I'm doing my daily rituals. And I was just like, I'm about to cry. Like, yes, God, and it wasn't about me, but it was just like, wow, God, like knowing that you are doing his work and knowing that people are really getting value. And it's like, it's something special, but she spent time visualizing the future she was working towards. So we got to spend time visualizing the end goal. Imagine the impact and the rewards of reaching your goals, which can help also keep our desires alive. Sometimes it's necessary to adapt our vision. And what do I mean by that is being flexible you know, you got to be flexible in entrepreneurship. You got to be flexible when you want to be successful. You want to be flexible when you want to be impactful. You got to be flexible to do all of these things. And why I say that is because hardships often require you to adjust your plans. But here's where we go wrong. Instead of adjusting our plans, we avoid our plans. Instead of adjusting our plans, we say, well, I'm going to avoid this because I don't have the mental capacity to deal with it right now. And my emotional bandwidth is just exhausted. I've been there before, but that's why community matters, right? But it's also saying, hey, you know what? It's being willing to adapt your vision while you're staying true to your core goals. The flexibility, it can help you navigate the obstacles without losing sight of your overall mission. And how you do that is just reaching out. Sometimes you can't do it by yourself. That's why it's truly, there's always safety in the midst of wise counsel. In the multitude of wise counsel, there's always going to be safety because of that, right? So be flexible, but don't be so hard on yourself either, right? And it's okay if you got to adjust your plans and that adjustment says, hey, my adjustment period is this period. I need to readjust. I need to take a week off from this just to clear my mind and get back to what you said, my mindfulness, get back to the basics, get back to taking care of me. And that's okay too. But making sure that you still keep that vision alive. Break down your goals. Listen, sometimes the bigger picture feels overwhelming. I know. I know. Break it down into smaller goals. Break it down also to even small, manageable steps. Sometimes it's important to just celebrate the small wins to maintain the momentum and to keep your vision intact. But it's those small little things. It's giving yourself a little bit more credit. It's patting yourself on the back just a little more for what you're doing. But break it down so that you can keep your vision alive. Sometimes it's necessary to do that. We talked about attitude, right? It all correlates because strengthening your mindset is important. Developing that resilience is what's going to allow us to focus on what you can control and letting go of what you can't control. I always say you can control your thoughts, you can control how you feel, you can control what you say and what you do. Those are the 4 things you control: your thoughts, what comes out your mouth, how you feel, and what you do. What you're doing with your hands, right? And feet. What you're thinking about, what you're saying. You can control those things. The rest you can't control though. But what happens? We're human, so we want to control everything. Can't. And trust me, this is it's tougher for your girl than you think. Because when you want perfection and you want greatness, you like to have that control, and you got to let it go sometimes. Because you know that it's like you can only do what you can do. And all you can do is enough. And enough is all you can do. Just make sure that you're doing all you can do. Because that's really what it comes down to. Right? But making sure that you are also embracing these challenges as opportunities to just grow stronger. Positive affirmations. You know, your girl loves some affirmations. I had to sneak them in there. Using affirmations to reinforce your beliefs in your ability to overcome adversity. Using affirmations to reinforce your belief in yourself. Using affirmations to declare what you want over your life, to declare what you want over your family, to declare what you want over your finances, to declare what you want over your future, to declare what you want over your businesses, to declare what you want over your family, to declare what you want over your circumstance. Affirmations are everything because you're speaking life over your life because there's power in your tongue, right? Seek inspiration. And here's another thing, right? When you repeat positive statements, it literally helps shift your mindset from fear to determination, from uncertainty to certainty, from sad to joy, like instantly. And I'm not going to be like, oh, it's going to happen, but it does. If you say them enough, if you say them correctly, right? Seeking inspiration, learning from others. Iron sharpens iron. Yes, sometimes you can get around the iron physically. So go read about it, or listen to the stories of the individuals. Podcasts nowadays, whether you're listening to Ed Milet, whether you're listening to John Maxwell, whether you're listening to Josh Valentino, the Journey podcast, but there's so many different things. But experiences can provide hope, perspective, and inspiration. And a lot of times, it's not the problem that's consuming you, it's the perspective. It's not the circumstance, it's the chaos happening within you. And it's important to shift that. Surround yourself with the positivity. Again, staying connected to the people who uplift, who encourage you. Positive influences are always going to help us maintain our desire and vision, even when things are tough. Staying connected to your faith, whatever that looks like to you, whether it's prayer, meditation regularly, whether it's seeking spiritual guidance on providing strength and clarity, surrendering to a higher power, trust that whatever it is that you're facing has a purpose, even if it's not immediately clear, and surrendering sometimes that control to let go and let God. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Prioritizing self-care. I am a huge advocate for this, right? It's funny because they did this this challenge, and it was like roast your IG feed on Chat GBT. And the Chat GBT was like, you're always smiling and you're always traveling and you have seamlessly managed switching it up from bikinis to blazers. I'm like, I think that's a compliment. You're not roasting me. But one of the things on there that it was just like, you're always giving positivity. And the reality is that I'm sharing light because there's so much darkness that we're going through. And you're always going to see me self-care and prioritizing yourself, because if you can't prioritize yourself, you can't prioritize nobody else. You not taking care of yourself, you cannot take care of anybody else. And I'm not saying that you cannot take care in the physical sense, because, oh, trust and believe, we push ourselves. We push ourselves, men and women, we both do it. And we're going to push ourselves and push ourselves and push ourselves. But then guess what? We're going to get burnt out. We're going to get burnt out. Why? Because you're not taking care of you. You got to fill your cup. Have to fill your cup. Got to take care of yourself, because whether it's when things are great, it's like we think like, oh, self-care is cute. But in the middle of those hardships, you go ahead and try to neglect your well-being. That's chaos. That is ensuring you are going to go down a downward spiral. You got to ensure you're taking care of your physical, your mental, your emotional health. You got to keep your energy and your desire strong. And how you do that is by every time you look in the mirror, you know you're a certified badass. Excuse my language. But every time you look in the mirror, you know that you are God's most beautiful creation. That you know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. That you know that you are the head and not the tail. That you know that your abundance and prosperity is your birthright. So taking care of yourself is necessary to keep that energy and keep that desire strong. Rest and recharge. Your girl working on it. I went to sleep early, y'all. I'm doing good, okay? Rest and recharge. Sometimes taking a step back to rest can reignite your desire and clarity of vision. Burnout can cloud your judgment. And it's more than anything, you matter enough to prioritize yourself. If you can prioritize everything and everybody else, prioritize yourself, especially your recovery when you need it. Focusing on growth, embracing the lessons. Every hardship has lessons to offer. Focus on what you learn from the situation and how it can help you grow. The mindset shift, it can always turn challenges into stepping stones. Strengthening your skills as a leader, as a businessman, as a businesswoman, as a career professional, as a father, as a son, as a daughter, as a wife, as a person. Strengthening skill sets is important, because yes, these difficult times are an opportunity to develop new skills, but more than anything, it's also improving existing ones. It's building that competence that we need. It's building that grit. It's building character, and it can increase your confidence and desire to keep moving forward. And that's why I always tell people, I'm like, listen, no matter what I do outside of this direct sales, network marketing, social selling industry, whatever you want to call it, relationship marketing, I'll never stop doing this, because the skill sets that I've learned here, the grit that I've developed here, it's what allows me to go through life. I take these skill sets and I apply them to everything you can imagine. But you gotta do that. Strengthen those skills. It matters. Use difficult times as an opportunity to get better, to be better, to do better, and just keep moving forward. Setting those daily intentions, your small daily goals. Remember the micro goals, little things, manageable tasks that you can do in the next 2 to 3 weeks that are in alignment with the larger vision. It's going to keep you moving forward, even when the progress feels slow. Trust me, I know it's okay. You got to keep going. Mindful actions, being mindful and aware. The awareness is key. Being mindful of our daily actions and how they can contribute to our overall goals. And remember again to just celebrate your progress, acknowledge your achievements, no matter how small. Celebrate your achievements along the way. It's going to reinforce your progress and help you maintain motivation. Trust me. And reflect on the growth, reflect on how far you've come. All of these things are important because it just helps us gain a healthy perspective and it keeps us going. And making sure that, yes, you're committed to your goals, but making sure that you're committed to perseverance and you're committed to your person, to yourself. Staying the course is beyond reminding yourself that storms are temporary, that committing to staying the course, knowing that persevering is often the key to breaking through the adversity. But staying the course is also making sure that you're staying true to yourself, staying true to your highest and best self, saying that you know you're worthy and deserving of your dream life, that you know you are worthy and deserving of the goals, of the dreams that you have within you. This has been our Breakfast Club call for Thursday, August 22nd, 2024. Breakfast has been served. As always, it is an honor, pleasure, and privilege to serve you. Again, habits of a heartfelt leader, the ability to follow, the choice to submit, and the desire to see. Seeing more starts with seeing before. Thank you guys again. Blessings on blessings. See you guys soon. Have a great week.